Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we're looking at heroes who share a connection that is not your typical heroes in arms type of bond. No, they've been brought together by other means. Maybe it was to boost sales, or because of fan demand from an unexpected quarter, or just cause all of a sudden narratively people decided it must be so. Make it so. We're gonna look at all of that with our list of the top 10 superheroes who share a weird connection. I'm Sasha and let's get started. Number 10, Green Lantern and Space Ghost. We're talking about Hal Jordan as the Green Lantern here, and in 2017 there was a crossover between him and Space Ghost. Space Ghost is a Hanna-Barbera character who was an intergalactic crime fighter from the Ghost Planet. His first series would begin in 1966 and have 42 episodes, but would find its way into syndication. And he would have your standard 60s style adventures, featuring lots of Hanna-Barbera style reused backgrounds. And he was brave and for many an endearing hero, though he would for some eventually fall through the cracks, though there was that parody show, Space Ghost from Coast to Coast, never forget. So why him and Green Lantern? Well, this is a conceptual connection as they are both cosmic heroes. This is one of those, well, think about it type of connections. Both intergalactic heroes patrolling the galaxy, why would they not bump into each other? Especially in a world where interdimensional travel is possible. Also, it was felt that the two had similar personalities. So the idea for this crossover was born. Something I can't imagine people were clamoring for, but it exists, and it's not bad. The two don't get along at the start, and neither can really wield the weapons of the other, because Hal has the ring and Thaddeus has his wrist rockets, and of course they swap weapons. But it's just a fun little crossover. Green Lantern and Space Ghost. Think about it. Number 9, Spider-Man and Silk. Silk as a character would emerge out of the, well, mixed up and down Original Sin event, an event that would reveal secrets across the Marvel Universe. This happened in 2014. And while some comic books took it more seriously than others, some liked it and others were like, oh, I guess we have to. For example, Fantastic Four did it in one issue and then promptly forgot about it the next. However, when it came to Spider-Man's, a whole new character and a bit of lore was introduced. It turned out Peter hadn't been the only one bitten by that radioactive spider. There was another. And why hadn't she been there? Because she was being hidden in a bunker. Cindy Moon would have a bit more of a connection than being bitten by the same spider as Peter just a few minutes after him though. They would also have a pheromone link. Because of that, they cannot keep their hands off of each other. It's a lot of a lot, but for some they feel it makes them endgame, meant to be, while for others it's unsettling, connected by hormones, and cause Spider-Man needed a secret that wasn't just his Uncle Ben was alive or something. Thoughts on Silk? Let me know down below. I really kinda wish she had a different origin, but that's just a me thing, doesn't have to be a you thing. Number 8, Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Luke Cage, aka Power Man, and Iron Fist are besties, and for fans of comics that's how they know them, attached at the hip, heroes for hire. But why are they that way? There's a very specific reason. When these two characters were created, Iron Fist in 1974 and Luke Cage in 1972, neither were doing too well on their own. They were both steered into trends from the time, blaxploitation for Cage and kung fu exploitation for Rand. And then something happened in the late 70s. People put these two trends together, and so the idea was conceived that these two should team up and have a comic in that very tone, and people loved it, and their friendship has become an iconic dynamic and just a really fun element to the Marvel Universe. Since then they've both grown as characters, but people still think fondly on these heroes for hire and their exploits. Heroes for hire. Leave Danny Rand alone. More of these two, I say. Sometimes editorial mandates give us good things. Number 7, Reed Richards and Tony Stark. So the Fantastic Four are Marvel's premier superhero team, whose debut back in 1961 launched the superhero renaissance. When people think of team-ups between them and other characters, people think of Spider-Man first and foremost, which is fair. However, there are two characters on there who have a connection that has built up in the shadows over time because of each of these characters' status within the Marvel Universe, and that is Tony Stark and Reed Richards, who both enjoy the monikers as some of the smartest men in the Marvel Universe. Also, you know, a little dangerous, they can get a bit disconnected from what's going on. Reed way more than Tony though. So these two are aware that characters in the Marvel Universe have a tendency to, well, die, and they both have access to some of the most dangerous technology and weapons. So they had an agreement in place where they would will their tech stashes to each other in event of an emergency. That's true friendship right there. You can't trust just anyone with your potential doomsday weapon. These two are also both members of the Illuminati, and tend to think along similar lines, at least before Reed grew a beard and went full dad. They still build stuff together though. Number 6, Spider-Man and Deadpool. Nowadays, it isn't uncommon to find people expecting team-ups between these two, and if they're not written distinctly enough, they can become very similar characters. But how did this come to be? Deadpool initially had a lukewarm relationship with Spider-Man. He had fought him on several occasions. However, as Deadpool became more popular and his characterization went through changes, he would develop a crush on Spider-Man, and the banter would get a bit more flirty. This would result in the creation of a ship, DEADPOOL, and it would explode in popularity and transformative fandom. Marvel higher-ups were quick to take note of the chance to pander to this group of enthusiastic fans, and hence the Spider-Man Deadpool team-up comic was born, a comic that was even promoted using the ship name. They would also reference the ship within the comic itself. Miles will vary on whether or not this was too far in the playing with fans department, but it has ensured that for some newer readers, seeing these two together is an expectation and not something that comes out of left field. Number 5. Oracle and the Huntress. The Huntress and Oracle had an interesting relationship pre-New 52. After Babs was paralyzed at the hands of the Joker in The Killing Joke, this would extend to changes in her character within the actual DC universe itself. She would become Oracle, the Bat family's eyes, ears, dispatch, and also co-head of the Birds of Prey, and still a skilled martial artist. In short, awesome. Huntress would re-emerge on the scene after having her origin changed post-Crisis, that being Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985, and she would find herself set outside the rest of the Bat family. It's not just the willingness to kill that put Barbara off. When Barbara first met Helena, she at one point took up the Batgirl mantle. This was during the No Man's Land arc, and she would come to like it more than her Huntress persona because criminals were more afraid of her. This was a bit of a sore spot for Babs because, well, she did still miss her old masked persona. It's also not the best look because Batman was all, "You don't want to end up like Barbara." Big oof. Insensitive. Number 4. Batman and Wolverine. Would it be top 10 nerd if every 5th video we didn't mention Darkclaw? I think not. You'd all unsubscribe. So Batman and Wolverine were two of the characters smushed together for the Amalgam universe, that being a universe populated by characters who were fusions of a hero from DC and from Marvel. This had occurred after a series of crossover and let them fight style comics beforehand. One of the most well remembered of these is Darkclaw. He was Logan Wayne, who after witnessing the murder of his parents was sent to live with his uncle in Canada. But his uncle got killed too, because no families, that's the rule. He would enlist in the Royal Canadian Air Force and enter the Weapon X program. He would have adamantium bonded to his skeleton, but prove an ineffective weapon because of his conscience. He would instead fight crime to avenge his parents. So why these two? Well, people felt there was a bit of a similarity in their personalities between Logan and Bruce. Both kind of lone wolves despite being part of huge teams. Both aggressive and driven, but also both extremely popular characters. So meshing them together from that standpoint was a given. Would these two make the cut as a fusion today? What do you think? Number 3. Wonder Woman and Aquaman. So Wonder Woman and Aquaman are both founding members of the Justice League and have been teammates, but as of late there has been an increase in focus on the idea that these two both come from kingdoms separate from the human world, and that they would either be at war with or allied with each other against it. During Flashpoint, the event wherein Barry would create the New 52, these two would be at war. So much so that they would be about to destroy the world. Yet in the later Rebirth Justice League, the two would be shown to have feelings of superiority regarding the running of their lands, and they would flirt with the idea of conquest of the mainland as a result, both as rulers above others. It's a take, but it doesn't exactly make them the most sympathetic, and it makes Batman's contingency plans make a lot more sense. Don't make these two despots, please. Number 2. Green Lantern and Green Arrow. Hal Jordan is often hailed as the best Green Lantern. However, paradoxically, all through the Silver and Bronze Ages, he would also be accused of being boring. So much so that his book would constantly be shifting to accommodate for this, with, for example, backup adventures with Adam Strange, or introducing adventures with newly established Green Lantern members of the Corps, because at first it used to be just Hal. But then his book in the 70s would just become a team-up book between him and the Green Arrow. Why? Well, largely because they were both green. Legit. This way it shouldn't prove too visually confusing. And Hal was thusly sent on a bunch of more socially conscious adventures, and the differences between the two of them were amplified, but with Ollie being more left-leaning and Hal being more right, American versions of. And so they would be established as really good, at times even best friends, even though Ollie would constantly treat Hal awfully, and this dynamic would last. Like sometimes great friends, other times Ollie actually calling Hal out for having an abusive dad and pushing him further on the path towards alcoholism, which would all later be retconned. Hooray! Green. It's not easy being green. And in at number 1, Superman and Spider-Man. No, you didn't hear that wrong. We can't talk weird connections without the crossover comic that started it all. Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man, subheading the Battle of the Century, which is a lie, but still. This comic came out in 1976 and presented a world wherein these two would just inhabit the same universe, so they just always existed together, no explanation. And while it actually works, it would spawn a whole series of crossovers in the same vein, such as Spider-Man and Batman, Batman and the Hulk, a sequel to this very comic, well, a spiritual successor more like. Why these two? Again, it was a question of popularity. At the time, Superman was on a high, and so was Spider-Man, an always popular character. This is the comic that gives us the famous "It Suddenly Got Hard" panel that people love to use out of context. Do these two fight? Kinda, and it's a misunderstanding. They actually team up to fight Lex Luthor and Dr. Octopus. It's a bit padded, but still worth reading to see what's what. So those were 10 superheroes with weird connections. Did we miss any? Let me know down below. I'm Sasha, and thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!